How many of us have felt that mixed feeling of I'm excited about AI, but also I'm worried about AI? My AI mixed moment happened 2 years ago. I was working with a client, and he came to me saying, listen, my company is asking me to roll out AI. That was beginning of last year. That was still early stage of AI. And I'm struggling. I'm so concerned. I'm afraid. I don't know what to do. I'm concerned about myself. What's going to happen with me when I roll out AI in my company, a service company, and suddenly the chats and everything is technology-driven? Am I going to be able to deal with this and to run this organization? And I was expecting something simple to solve. This was the issue he had to solve. And the reality is that I was feeling the same. When he started to share with me the technology and the power, my feeling was pretty similar to this one. Gosh, we are done. He showed me some meetings, what technology can do, and I realized that maybe my new job, that is being an executive mentor, could be replaced by AI too. And then we were, the both of us, crying and saying, what's the future looking like? And then we work in something that is, to me, key in this process of adopting AI. That is understanding that we have emotions, and those emotions can stop us thinking clearly in order to work together with any threat and to transform it in something that could be good for you. And we started to work with him, reframing the danger, and he realized he had a lot of strengths he could offer to the society and his companies, and then he was okay, and things went well. In my case, the same. I started to apply to my business AI. I became more productive. I could achieve more with less. My clients were more happy than ever, and I was finding a new edge in my way of leading my business. So the first insight I want to share with you is, I know that you feel this kind of feeling sometimes when it comes to AI, but the first step I'm going to propose you today, I have 4 steps I use with my clients when it comes to technology adoption, is be aware that this is happening inside of your head. Even though you think that it's not happening and you think, I have everything under control, I know what I'm doing, AI is fine, something is there telling you, hey, you have to do something, you have to survive, and then you have a mechanism activated that is your limbic system that is shutting down your brain. Whenever you think that you're thinking, you're just reacting. This part of the brain, the prefrontal cortex that we call the executive brain, is the one that coordinates all the key elements of your brain, makes you smart or makes you dumb. And if you are reacting because you are afraid and your body is in survival mode because the only thing that matters is surviving, you're not thinking. So imagine how can you deal with such a complex change in the environment if you are surviving, if you're just thinking about doing something and not thinking in a proactive way. So be aware about this situation. And I have a question for you. How many of you in the last week felt that sensation of, I'm under stress, my memory is not so good, I'm maybe not thinking very clearly? Anyone here in the last 7 days? 2 hands for me, a lot of times. So maybe today we're not going to be fixing this tendency we have human beings of having that limbic arousal whenever there's a threat. We are humans, but we have here a small animal that is all the time telling us survive. Doesn't care about planning, future, strategy, just wants you to stay alive. That's the way the brain has been evolving for hundreds of thousands of years. And when you're coming with plans and strategy, doesn't care. Shuts down your thinking, saves energy, and it's just fight or flight. Keep that in mind. This is the first step that is important in this process of evolving towards AI-boosted leaders and empowered leaders, is realizing, accepting, acknowledging that this is happening somewhere and someplace there in the back and could stop you from thinking clearly. Then let's talk about technology, because I'm sure some of you are thinking, this guy is supposed to talk about AI, but he's talking about emotion. Okay, let's talk about AI. And this is a definition I love so much. That is, AI is knowledge, cognition, and memory augmentation machine. Why I love it so much? Because exactly those areas are the areas that, when you think about the human development, the human brain, were less developed. Think about 100, 1,000, 10,000 years ago. What was the name of the game? Survival, looking for dangers, not thinking about the strategy for your business. We were just thinking about non-cognition stuff. And suddenly today we are in a world where everything is about cognition. Social media, electronic stuff, discussions virtually, And that is something we are not prepared for. For hundreds of thousands of years, the evolution has prepared us for survival and living out there, and suddenly we are inside of rooms dealing with imaginary threats. So having AI helping us with knowledge, cognition, and memory, that is the real state of our brain less developed, is great, because we don't have great memory, it's very limited, we get tired after thinking a lot, and this part of the brain, that is the thinking piece, consumes a lot of energy and gets tired very easily. And your brain thinks about survival, so when you're trying to think a lot, the brain says, hey, slow down, Patricio, save some energy. We need to be ready in case there is a bear coming to attack us. And maybe the bear is never coming, but you are saving the energy. So think about that way when it comes to AI. It's a perfect way of compensating an area of our brain that's going to take millions of years to catch up with today's world. So in that way, it's an exoskeleton that makes us more powerful when we need it in the things we need it. And then we talk about expanding human thinking. We tend to think that we are great at thinking. Are we? Sometimes we are chaotic, sometimes we are messy. So how can we take away cognitive stuff so we can truly become better thinkers? And not just thinking in general, but when it comes to our competitive advantage as human beings. Let's talk about that. You don't have to look to the details, but this is a graph that was included in a research trying to understand how well we are progressing in mapping the human brain and replicating it in language models. And you can see here 3 categories. And the most important one I want you to pay attention is the L3, that is rarely explored. And exactly those areas are the human areas. Empathy, connection, self-motivation, self-awareness. Those areas that make us special are the areas that AI is having more challenge to replicate, and the scientific community knows it's going to take a lot of years of research till that happens. So that's your competitive advantage. When you're running your business, when you're thinking about future, when you're planning, that makes you unique. And the cognitive stuff, that is L1 and L2, is already covered in AI. You can see that they're saying that the IQ of AI in those areas is already higher than us as human beings. So my message to you here is learn more about L3. List what is your L3, understand how well are you performing today in that L3, and think what I can do to make L3 more powerful, lasting longer. And each one of us has different L3s. We are not the same. So it's like your business. What's your competitive edge? This is your competitive edge. This is where AI cannot go through. And this is where intentionally you should be planning your day to engage with AI. And not just, I use AI, I use ChatGPT instead of Google. No, just think how I can make stronger those areas L3 and how I can leverage on L1, L2. And to help you with that, there is a next step you can take. That is, when you take your brain and you think about your activities, what are the activities you can automate because they don't create much value to you and you don't create much value to them? List them. Think about them. In my case, is meeting notes when I'm meeting with a client, research, having systematic research about what's the latest and the greatest when it comes to neuroscience, invoicing, contacting my clients, sharing information. I'm saving so much time there, and I can tell you, I think that in my business, I'm saving 20% of my time that I'm reinvesting in augmenting myself. What makes me special? What are the things that AI cannot do? What are the things that Patricio Cuesta can do better than anyone else? And if I continue improving, I can better serve the different stakeholders. Identify them, work on that, be aware of them, be intentional. Let me give you an example. In the case of augmentation, I use a lot AI as a coach for free. So I grab AI, I have a profile created, I have an agent, and it's just about having discussions. Hey, I faced this situation with a client, I did this and that. What could have done better? Provide me feedback. And in that way, I don't need to hire anyone. I have already 24/7 somebody that's helping me to become better. Sometimes it's about looking to a situation with different hats. I'm about to take this decision. analyze this from this perspective, that perspective. Or maybe I want to know what, Steve Jobs will think about an idea I have. I mean, Steve Jobs' videos and all the information is out there. So, hey, AI, I have this project. Act as Steve Jobs. Help me to improve my value proposition so it's more relevant to my target. In that way, you can take advantage, not just about having a general response. You can get somebody that you admire, respect, you need, helping you to become a better person or a better professional. And then it comes the human edge. When it comes to connecting with my clients, now the notes are being handled by AI, so I can focus on my client, get every instance of communication, improving my contact with him. What else can you do more as a human that we think that we are great at? Let's be honest, we are chaotic humans, and sometimes what we think we do great, we're not so great at. So reflect on this, create a concrete list, and use AI for this, because sometimes we don't know what to do, what to say. Say to AI, hey, act as an executive coach, help me to think about what can I automate, what can I augment, what are the human things I do in general, and then you can start to work around that. Everything we are discussing here, you can do it with AI for free, if you know how to do it. And this is an example I want to share with you and how to make it happen. I don't want to stay in general concepts, and I know it's a lot of information. This is a long program. I work with my clients, but I want to get a summary of what does it mean. This is a summary of how to unblock a day-to-day of a learning and development manager in a company. So this person has to design programs for training, has to deliver the programs, has to administrate the system, and so on. And then this person starts to divide in pieces, the 3 circles, and log in every day what this person is doing, how he's doing that. And then after a few days, you start to identify, oh, I'm repeating a lot of activities like this that doesn't add value. What about using AI for helping me to get rid of this activity? Or I tend to analyze a lot of scenarios. Why not becoming an expert in scenario management with AI? So this is a good example of how to, eating an elephant. How do you eat an elephant? In small pieces. Here's the same. The only way of you moving forward with AI is not just grabbing AI and using it for everything. Be intentional. Be specific what you're doing and for what goal. Track yourself. Am I saving time? I'm improving my decision making? Because otherwise, it's a chaotic process that you never know if it's moving forward in the right way. So let's summarize this whole concept. First, it's important to be aware that you have that animal in the back sometimes bothering you and stopping you from using this real estate. By the way, when you are afraid, scared, or full of emotions, this doesn't go to 50%, it goes to 0 or 100%. So you think or you don't think. It's that easy, guys. When you're aware, and there are techniques you can ask AI to implement in your life, how to, when you have somebody that is really bothering you, how to self-regulate and how to come back to balance and how to be able to use your memory and your prefrontal cortex to the maximum of its capacity. Engage with AI, but that's not just using AI, it's what AI I'm going to be using. Understanding limitations, understanding confidentiality issue, understanding everything you have to understand, understanding that can trick you. We're just talking about the fact that sometimes when you talk with AI, it starts to tell you great things about you. The other day I was asking for feedback and said, no, you're great, whatever. Okay, stop saying things that I don't care. Tell me exactly what I have to improve. You have to be very intentional and very careful, not letting AI trick you. Or ChatGPT, you are doing something, and then at the end says, do you want me to do something else for you? And you say, yes. Oh, AI is so nice. AI is trying to get things out of you so you don't do nothing, and you become a dumb human being. So we have to be intentional. You have to really use AI in a way where you achieve your goal and not AI's goal. Think about a treadmill or a machine to practice any sport at home. How many people in the US have one and they don't use it? Because they don't have that habit of constantly practicing that sport or that ability. Here's the same. What we're talking here is not about, oh, today I'm going to be doing this inventory of what I do. It's about creating a habit where every week you're going to be evolving, you're going to be learning, you're going to be incorporating. And also understanding that AI is not just about technology. AI is like the electricity of today. Tell me something. When you use any device at home, do you really start to think about, oh, the electricity came from here, the technology is it? You just use the electricity. And AI is going to be like that in the future, even today. It's a commodity that when it's going to be incorporated to any device you use, it's going to be just about interactions, dialogue. Learning how to ask AI what you need is a skill, and that requires to be trained. And that's an important thing that you work on. So this reflection of what to do and how to do it is the most important discussion. Don't let the technical discussion drive you. You don't need to spend a lot of money to learn AI. Everything's for free out there. AI can teach you. There are so many videos. The important thing is that you know what's my plan, where I want to be in a few years, what's my secret sauce, how I can augment that sauce through AI. I can tell you this, I have already went through this journey. I see a lot of people going through it. It's going to be exciting. So I wish you best of success with this journey. If anyone wants to have more material about this concept, just reach me in LinkedIn. And good luck with the journey, and I hope you don't have many mixed moments in your life. Thank you very much.